Off the coast of Koh Chang Island in Thailand stands an unusual sight. A massive 7-deck ship permanently anchored on land. This is the Galaxy. Once marketed as the most modern floating hotel in Thailand, is now a charred skeleton after a devastating fire in December 2024. What makes this structure compelling isn't just its unusual location or design, it's the contrast between what it promised and what it became. The Galaxy started as a naval vessel before being transformed into a luxury destination. But within a few years, it stood abandoned, corridors empty, rooms untouched, furniture collecting dust. As the Galaxy deteriorated, its reputation changed. Urban explorers documented their journeys through its aging halls. Visitors described an unsettling atmosphere, and local stories emerged about incidents that supposedly occurred within its walls. Whether these stories are fact or fiction, these accounts added to the mystery surrounding the once proud ship. How did such an ambitious project fall into ruin? What actually happened in those rooms and corridors? And what can we learn from this strange chapter in Thailand's tourism history? This is the story of the Galaxy, a hotel that sailed on land, harbored rumors instead of guests, and finally met its fate when it disappeared in smoke and flame. Welcome to Shipwreck History. Before it became known as the Haunted Galaxy Hotel, the ship began its life with a completely different purpose. It was originally built as a military craft, a Thai naval landing ship that had previously served in the U.S. Navy. The exact details of its naval career remain largely undocumented, but what we do know is how it eventually ended up on the shores of Koh Chang. The ship found its way into the hands of a Thai billionaire, a businessman who had amassed his fortune through land development projects. He purchased the aging naval vessel, with grand plans to transform it into something completely different, a floating luxury hotel. Koh Chang was never the ship's intended destination. Its new owner initially planned to create his floating hotel in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. He invested in converting the military vessel into accommodations suitable for tourists, but for reasons that remain unclear, this Cambodian venture fell through. The stories about the ship's journey to Koh Chang vary widely. Some accounts claim it was a functioning cruise ship that developed a serious leak, prompting its conversion to a stationary hotel. Others suggest it was deliberately positioned and anchored in its current location as part of a planned development. What's clear from photographic evidence is that it was indeed a genuine vessel, not a concrete structure built to resemble a ship as some have claimed. After the Phnom Penh plan collapsed, the Galaxy's owner pivoted. He brought his newly renovated floating hotel to Koh Chang, where it was maneuvered through a channel to what would become its final resting place, a shallow inlet near Bang Bao Bay. In 2004, the Galaxy debuted as the centerpiece of the Koh Chang Grand Laguna Resort. It wasn't just any accommodation. It was designed as a premium destination with the ship as its crown jewel. The 7-deck vessel housed approximately 200 guest rooms, spread across its massive hull. The layout reflected its new purpose as an upscale hotel. The first and second floors contained meeting spaces and administrative areas. Floors 3 through 5 held guest accommodations ranging from standard rooms to luxury suites. The top floors featured a restaurant and panoramic views of the surrounding waters and the jungle-covered hills of Koh Chang. The Galaxy was just one part of an ambitious vision. The Grand Laguna complex included artificial lakes, wooden cabins, traditional bungalows, and even smaller floating accommodations scattered throughout the property. Visitors entered through a grand gateway flanked by elephant statues, a display of luxury that reflected the owner's particular taste. During its operational years, rooms aboard the Galaxy were surprisingly affordable for what was marketed as a 5-star experience. Guests could book accommodations for between $20 to $30 per night. At this price, visitors could experience the novelty of staying aboard a permanently docked ship while enjoying full hotel amenities. Marketing materials from this period described the Galaxy in glowing terms. A 7-deck floating boat, nicely equipped with full facilities. This 5-star hotel is drifting gracefully on the crystal lagoon next to the sea. The reality, as some early guest reviews suggested, didn't always match this flowery description. While some visitors enjoyed the unique experience, others complained about practical issues that would eventually contribute to the hotel's downfall. The timeline of the Galaxy's decline is where accounts become contradictory. Several sources indicate that operations ceased soon after opening in 2004, due to economic challenges following a downturn in Thailand's tourism industry. Yet TripAdvisor reviews for the property exist until 2012. The most likely explanation is that the Galaxy and its surrounding resort declined gradually, rather than shutting down all at once. Parts of the property may have remained operational even as the ship itself fell into disrepair. The resort underwent several name changes over the years, from Koh Chang Grand Laguna to Koh Chang Boat Chalet to Onkalina Beachfront Resort, suggesting attempts to rebrand and revitalize the struggling property. Former guests described practical problems that likely contributed to the Galaxy's eventual abandonment. The ship's design, while visually impressive, created uncomfortable conditions for guests. Poor air circulation led to constant humidity and stuffiness throughout the structure. The confined spaces and lack of windows in many rooms created a claustrophobic atmosphere, far from the luxury experience many expected. These issues weren't easily fixed, and maintaining a full-size ship as a stationary hotel proved more challenging than anticipated. As the property changed hands and rebranded, the Galaxy itself received less attention and maintenance. Corridors darkened, paint peeled, and furniture began to decay in the tropical climate. By the 2010s, the property was publicly listed for sale, but no buyers emerged willing to take on the massive renovation project the deteriorating ship would require. The once gleaming white hull now showed streaks of black mold, and many of the rooms had been stripped of valuable fixtures while others remained eerily intact, as if guests had simply vanished mid-stay. As the Galaxy fell into disrepair, stories began to circulate about what had happened within its walls. The most persistent tale involves incidents of people falling from the ship's upper decks. According to local rumors, at least one guest, frequently described as a Russian tourist, fell to their death from the top floor. Did these incidents actually occur? No official records confirm these stories, and journalists investigating the ship's history haven't found concrete evidence of fatal accidents. But in Thailand, where belief in spirits is deeply woven into the cultural fabric, the stories took on a life of their own. A Reddit user who visited the ship wrote that locals call it the ghost ship, or don't talk about it at all, adding that the building was creepy as hell, regardless of whether supernatural elements were involved. The aged corridors, with their peeling wallpaper and water damage, created an atmosphere that many visitors found unsettling even without knowledge of the rumors. Some visitors exploring the ship's abandoned corridors reported paranormal activity, including unusual sensations, sudden cold spots in Thailand's tropical heat, unexplained sounds from empty rooms, and feelings of being watched. These experiences fed into the growing legend of the haunted hotel. These stories became part of the Galaxy's identity and ultimately contributed to its afterlife as a tourist attraction of a very different kind. By the mid-2010s, the Galaxy had fully transitioned from a functioning hotel to something else entirely, an unofficial destination for urban explorers and dark tourism enthusiasts. What was once a liability for the resort became, ironically, one of its few remaining draws. The ability to access inside the ship would fluctuate over the years. From 2016 until 2022, the Galaxy was officially closed to visitors with locked doors and explicit no-entry signs. However, determined explorers still found ways inside, sometimes through open windows or unlocked side entrances. In 2022, the property owners took a pragmatic approach to the growing interest in the abandoned ship. Rather than fighting to keep trespassers out, they began charging entrance fees up to $5 to tour the deteriorating structure. A security guard or caretaker would unlock the doors and allow visitors to explore freely. It's particularly fascinating how much of the Galaxy's original state remained intact. Unlike many deserted buildings that are quickly stripped of valuables, many rooms retain their original furnishings. Televisions, refrigerators, bed linens, and even decorative elements remained in place, creating the impression of a hotel frozen in time. The visitor experience varied widely during this period. Some found a surprisingly well-maintained property, with portions of the grounds still actively groomed. Others described a fully abandoned complex with overgrown vegetation and crumbling infrastructure. These contradictory accounts reflect the property's inconsistent management and the fact that different areas received varying levels of attention over time. Online videos and photos from urban explorers attracted more visitors, creating a small but steady stream of tourists who came specifically to see the ghost ship. The Galaxy became a must-visit spot for travelers seeking experiences beyond Koh Chang's typical beach activities and jungle tours. The Galaxy's strange journey came to a dramatic end in December 2024. At approximately 11:50 a.m., flames were spotted emerging from the lower levels of the ship. Local traffic police and radio stations quickly reported the blaze as it spread with alarming speed. The fire began on what had once been the ground floor of the ship and rapidly climbed upward. Strong winds that day fanned the flames, creating a column of thick black smoke visible across much of the island. For tourists and locals alike, the sight of the infamous ghost ship engulfed in fire created an apocalyptic scene against Koh Chang's otherwise idyllic backdrop. The island's fire response capabilities were quickly overwhelmed by the intensity of the blaze. Police coordinated with local officials to mobilize approximately 50 firefighters. Despite their efforts, the fire proved impossible to contain. The firefighters reportedly had to abandon attempts to save the ship and instead worked to protect the surrounding area. The ship itself, with its wooden interiors and aging materials, provided ample fuel for the fire. Luckily, no injuries were reported. The Galaxy had long since stopped housing overnight guests, and any daytime visitors apparently escaped safely. After burning intensely for hours, the ship was left to smolder for several weeks. By the time the last embers cooled, little remained of the once imposing structure. Work crews began dismantling what was left of the Galaxy, cutting up the charred remains and shipping them to the mainland for scrap. Today, only part of the charred hull remains as a reminder of what had once stood there. The cause of the fire was never officially determined. Some speculated about electrical faults in the aging wiring, while others wondered about potential arson motivated by development interests. Like much of the Galaxy's history, its final chapter remains shrouded in uncertainty. The Galaxy's strange life cycle from military vessel to luxury hotel to abandoned ruin encapsulates broader patterns in Thailand's tourism development. Ambitious projects rise quickly, some without proper planning for long-term sustainability, and when economic hardships arrive, these same properties can fall into disrepair at equal speed. The Galaxy was unique in that its abandonment brought it more attention than it ever received when it was a working hotel. Its corridors allowed visitors to physically move through an abandoned space, piecing together clues about its past from what remained. With the Galaxy now gone, Koh Chang has lost one of its most distinctive landmarks. The island continues to attract visitors with its natural beauty, pristine beaches, lush jungles, and vibrant coral reefs, but something unique has been lost, a physical embodiment of imagination and excess, ambition and failure. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for all things shipwrecks. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Let us know in the comments what shipwrecks you'd like to see covered next. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring.